Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking there in an announcement by the Trump administration that it plans to fold USAID into the State Department. So a big question right now is, does the administration have the power to close an agency created by Congress? Opponents say this move threatens to stop humanitarian aid with potentially deadly consequences around the world.
There's arguably no single policy area that's a better example of this than the global fight against HIV. And one USAID worker told Wired magazine that at a minimum 300 babies that would not have had HIV now do as a result of the White House's freeze on life-saving international aid programs that began 2 weeks ago.
And we know it's a lot of information, so we're going to talk more about this now with Michael Ighodaro. He's the executive director of Global Black Gay Men Connect and Global Black Pride, which does human rights advocacy around the world. Michael, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So let's start with, what would the impact of a major reduction in U.S. international aid mean for HIV care globally when it comes to how many lives could be at stake?
This would be a catastrophic impact, and overall 20 million lives have been saved. Over 20 million lives have been saved because of the work that USAID and PEPFAR does. And just last year, 2023, over 500,000 people died of HIV. So HIV is not over. The global AIDS response has relied upon USAID, has relied upon PEPFAR, has relied upon the US government. This will be a catastrophic impact that it will have on babies and on mothers, on people, but also on America's national security as well, because again, this is really crucial. The US government has invested millions of dollars, billions of dollars in the HIV response. And if we were to step back now, if USAID was to get cancelled, this will have catastrophic impact. All of the billions of dollars of taxpayers' money that we've invested in HIV will become nothing, because again, remember, we don't have HIV cure. We don't have a cure yet. What we have is treatment and prevention, and that is really important context to have here, because if all those treatment and prevention programs were to stop, people will have AIDS, and we know what happens in the 80s. People died of AIDS, and so again, this will take us back to years and years of the HIV fight we've had.
Right, 80s and the 90s, millions of lives lost around the world. How have U.S.-led programs like PEPFAR helped make progress on HIV prevention and treatment abroad?
Just basically, someone like me would not be here today if not for PEPFAR. I am originally from Nigeria, and I'm American right now. I relied upon programs like PEPFAR and USAID to get my HIV treatment. And so the work that PEPFAR has done has saved millions of babies, like more than 5 million babies have been saved, have been born free of HIV because of PEPFAR. And so this is really crucial, right? So again, someone like me would not be here if not because of PEPFAR. There are millions of people around the world who depend on PEPFAR. Since the foreign aid freeze or the stop work order that the State Department has put out, a lot of clinics that provide life-saving medication and programs for populations around the world have stopped work. And so we already seen the drastic impact that this work has had, or this stop work order has had on the work on HIV and AIDS. Also because the impact that it's having as well is because the State Department employees, the USAID employees that do this work have been terminated or fired. These are crucial workforce individuals, career employees who have been able to make sure the impacts of the work that PEPFAR does, that USAID does, we have the real impact. These are like employees, people who have worked so hard, people who have the experience and expertise. So it brings the question of what is the review that we are really doing if people who work in this space, who have been there for years, who understand the context of the work, are no longer there to do the review. So for me, it's like it's questioning, what is the review that the State Department is doing? Who is doing the review? And who is asking what questions if someone who has done the work is not there to provide data or information about the work they are doing?
Right, and Michael, so many people too, there's so questions about what exactly the Trump agenda is and what causes it will, support moving forward.
Michael Ighodaro, thank you for joining us here on the show. We appreciate it.